Hello, my friends, Liberty Garden, and it's another day is coming to an end. Fall is here, and man, did it come in beautifully. As soon as fall came in, we started getting rain, and the temperature dropped to about 60 degrees. It's beautiful right now. Right now, it's a little all day. We've been having rain, and I got here in the morning, and there was rain, and so I instead of going out there and working the fence, I went ahead and coated some corner posts that I have in there with a mixture of diesel and burnt oil, motor oil. So that took up some of my time. Then I went to have some lunch. I was just killing time to see if the rain would pass, and sure enough, it passed. So by 2 o'clock, I started working on the fence again, and I just got done. So it's nice, but it's just beautiful, and it's just a little drizzly right now. Just a little drizzly. Just if you stay out in the elements like this, you may get a little wet, but it's not bad. It's nice, and I'm just relaxing a little bit here. So I'm a little late to this discussion because I only do videos here on the weekend, and I was looking at the video from Hooples. He was doing a response to somebody else, which I forgot, and then a few other people did some responses to Hooples, and they all circle jerk, you know. But let's get in it. About liberty, about freedom. Do you have freedom? How much freedom do you have? Something along those lines. And how do you know you're free and stuff like that? I I'm not going to make a distinction between the word liberty and freedom. I use them interchangeably, depending on how they best fit the context. Who was it? On Braveheart, the guy says freedom at the end. Saying liberty would have not sounded so cool, but I think Patrick Henry said, give me death or give me liberty." He didn't say, "Give me death or give me freedom." So I can see how the word can be used interchangeably. So I'm not going to split hairs along those lines. But I do get the point about freedom being liberty, living within freedom, and so on and so forth. But anyway, what does freedom mean? At least to me. Uh, there are many, many ways to conceptualize freedom. I mean, freedom of movement, freedom of thought, freedom of religion, freedom of expression. And to some degree, some are censored more than others. For example, I cannot just freely walk into another country without a passport. Uh, but I can pretty much, I'm pretty much free to pray in most parts of the Western world to my God. In some parts that's forbidden. So that is freedom. Freedom. There's two different types of freedom there. Uh, I think the biggest thing is freedom to innovate, or not to innovate, but to search for the truth. That's I think that's the most valuable aspect of freedom. You can go on about your day like a rat in a wheel and not know anything about the freedom you have or you don't have. But when you become aware of the freedom that you have and that you don't have, and you seek ways to improve your freedom, that is true freedom. Uh, Stephen Hawkins, he died in a wheelchair, but he was free, right? He was creative. He did a lot of things. His mind was free. It wasn't confined. He was confined to a wheelchair, but his mind was not. Man, mosquitoes are brutal right now. So I think what makes people free is your mind, and the search for the truth. When I went to the university, engraved on the University of Texas is "The truth shall set you free," and that's obviously a quote from the Bible. And that's the apostles died free men. but they died horrible deaths. But they died free men. They died for what they believed in. You cannot take away that from them. And Nelson Mandela spent many years in a prison, and he was free. In his mind, he was free. He was still fighting. So I think freedom is, it's a lot of it is in your head, but it's also searching for more than the physical freedom. It's very easy to constrain freedom on the physical, at the physical level. You're told not to do this, not to go here, not to go there, etc. But your mind cannot be constrained that easily. That's a little more difficult. And from your mind, many things are born. So, to me, that's freedom. Just having a sound mind and the ability to think and discern and meditate and practice your religion, practice your faith, etc. That's freedom. And all the other stuff, well, I mean, you just got to fight for it because nobody's going to give it to you. You just have to take that what is yours. In the U.S., we have a constitution, and then we have a Bill of Rights that was added at the last minute just to ensure that the people's freedoms were not lost to the state. And that's something great about this country. Now, the Bill of Rights does not grant you freedom. That comes from the Creator. And no document, no man-made document will give you freedom. You have that in you. You just have to exercise it. But the fact that the Bill of Rights protects those freedoms from the state, it gives individuals, people, citizens in this country, recourse. And that's important. Does a rifle make you free? No, not necessarily. But having the ability to have one, for example, it's a nice thing. It's a olive branch between a government and a citizens that says we trust you, and if you trust us, right? It really comes down to trust. Many governments do not dare allow their citizens to have weapons and arms like we do in the U.S. Why? Because they don't trust the people, and they know that they're tyrants in the end. So they don't want to find themselves hanging from a telephone post. And that's the beauty about the United States Constitution, that we have that in here. That freedom is respected. It gives you legal recourse, which brings me to my next thing. You have man laws and you have natural laws. And if you are bound by something, it is the natural law. I mean, those laws can be broken, but there are consequences to breaking those laws. If I choose to jump from that barn to the top of that barn, thinking that I can defy gravity, I'll break my legs. Simple as that. Nobody's going to stop me, but I will break my legs. Yet if I go on that highway and I gun it down to 100 miles an hour, I'll get pulled over and get a ticket. So one is a man law, and the other one is a law of nature. Now, in the United States, we have a lot of laws. A lot of laws to keep you nice and comfortable and safety and safe and cozy. And that is kind of shitty. We have a lot of laws. I once read or heard or something, I forget now, that maybe it was Caesar, Julius Caesar, or maybe one of the Roman emperors, before invading another population, he would send out some scouts and ask how many laws they have in their books. And the more laws that the population had in its books, the easier that they were to conquer. They were weaker. They have become more docile, more weak. Basically, the laws had domesticated the men in that society. It is true, I think. You go to places where people would consider that they're no laws and that there's no freedom and this and that. Yet it is very free. Some places are very free to the extent that you will get into trouble very fast, or somebody else's freedom will encroach on yours without recourse, without those laws that say that there's recourse, that there are consequences. I mean, somebody else's freedom may mean that harm to me. So that level of freedom is it is freer than the U.S. or in most civilized countries. But there's a reason why Western civilization is full of laws and stuff. It's just to keep civility. So it's always a compromise between absolute freedom, or basically absolute freedom bordering the laws of nature, and the freedom that you get when you live in a society with rules and regulations and laws, etc. So it's a compromise always. There are no real absolutes anywhere, and in some places, I mean, I'll give you a little story. One time I was driving back from a ranch, and we were tired. It was about 6 o'clock, and my uncle and I decided to pick up a 6-pack of beer. And we turned the curve, and there was a checkpoint, military checkpoint. These are very common in Mexico. They're checking for weapons mostly, and drugs, but mostly weapons. And we had no time for anything. We have a 6-pack of beer by our feet, and we each are holding a can of beer. So we pulled up to the checkpoint. The guys did not even ask about the beer. They asked us to step out of the vehicle. They checked under the seat. They checked in the glove compartment. Carry on, they told us. That's it. We got back in our car, back in the truck with the beer in our hands, and we kept on driving. Is that freedom? I mean, you pull up on a checkpoint here in the U.S. and you end up in jail for having an open container in your car. Yet nobody's drunk. You just had a couple of beers just because you're tired and you're getting back home. I mean, pick your poison, I guess, right? But the reason that military convoy was there is because there's a lot of bad sons of bitches on the road with the full auto weapons, full automatic weapons and stuff, doing up to no good, right? So what kind of freedom do you want? Quite frankly, I like this little highway here. It's nice and peaceful, even though I cannot drink beer on it. So pick. But the choice is yours, and the freedom, you have it. You just gotta choose to exercise it, or go to a place where you can actually exercise it. Full throttle. But anyway, folks, that's my take on freedom. Until next time, see you later.